Welcome to another special episode of This Black Girl Podcast. I am your girl Lola, aka Ola.Miss.Lola without the L. And I'm joined here by the lovely Shay, aka Finances for the Culture.
Hey.
So let the people know exactly like who you are, what you do, what you get into.
Yes, so my name is Shay. My brand is Finance for the Culture. It is super self-explanatory, but I bridge the gap between finance and community. I truly believe that information is the only difference between wealthy people and everybody else. So I am sharing that information to anyone who will listen. And yes, it hasn't been very long. However, it feels like it's been years. And I finally feel like I'm doing what I've been meant to do. So yeah, I'm super excited to be on the podcast, and please pay attention because I'm dropping them gems.
Well, okay. So before we even get into the beautiful gems, what kind of piqued your interest and got you really started with finances and getting into that, I guess, building your financial literacy?
So really and truly, I was tired of being broke. It's not fun. But really, I stumbled into finance. I was at an open mic, and there was a financial advisor who was asked to speak, and she literally spoke to me. She was like, "Look, the system is not for us. We need to educate ourselves in order to thrive, and you need to get your ish together now." And I was like, "Okay." Okay.
You're like, okay, you just started learning.
So I ended up attending one of her workshops, and I became her client, and we came up with a plan on how to fix my finances. And from there, it was like, look, you have the opportunity to teach other people what you know. And I was like, well, I have teaching experience. I love teaching. And I was like, let's just bring these two together, and that's that.
I love that. That's exciting. Okay, so you were inspired by somebody else, and now you've been chasing it, and you're discovering like this is your passion.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so I guess I want to start with like what do you think personally, based off of what you've seen in terms of like friends, family, like what is I guess the one thing that you've noticed that's kind of kept us broke? Because I'm not trying to say everybody's broke. Don't do that.
If you're not broke,
this
we're
ain't
not
for
talking
you.
about
The
you,
shoe don't
okay?
fit. The shoe don't fit.
Still listen so you can tell your broke friends, but you know.
That part. Okay.
So it's lack of information.
Yeah.
Really and truly, like that's just what it is. If we knew how money worked back then, if we knew the importance of using credit properly, if we knew the different things that are in place to keep us financially low, we would change. So financial education, as much as it's popular to talk about now,
Yeah.
it's still not as accessible as it should be. It's barely in the schools, right? Our parents are doing what they can with what they know, so it's very limited. And so a lot of us just don't know. We're doing the best we can with what we have, and unfortunately when it comes to finance, that's not enough. You really need to understand how money works,
Yeah.
apply that knowledge, and be consistent.
Okay. So I know you just breezed over a bit about credit, and I know that's one thing that a lot of people suffer from just because people don't get it. Even now, like as my big grown self, I'm like it's the dots are connecting now that I'm like, oh, I need to fix this. Like I can't not be like, well, fuck my credit. Like, no, I want certain things, and you unfortunately need that. And I guess for the viewers to understand, like, how would you then define credit? Oh, because people just think of it as it's just a number. Like, how would you define credit? What would you consider as like an okay score? What should people be aiming for? How do we do that? Like, how can you define that?
So there's a couple different parts. The main thing would be understanding what debt is. So debt is something that is owed. The difference between the Western world and the Eastern world is that on the East side, a lot of the times, if you want to go borrow money, you actually have to have that money in your bank account first. So if I want to borrow $10,000, I have to have $10,000. Over here, you can literally be dead broke and still manage to borrow money. And so that's where the problem is. Not to say that you have to be a millionaire in order to have access to credit, but you definitely should be financially responsible. So I'll use a credit card as an example, right? Firstly, it's way too easy to get a credit card. Nobody calls you and explains how it works, right?
Yep.
They don't tell you important details that you need to know. They don't tell you that your due date could actually be different every single month. It might not be the same day every month. And so we get this $2,000 limit and we think that we can just spend it. There are so many people who don't know that if you take out debt and you use it, you have to pay it back.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild that people don't know that? But it's so true. Like literally, people think that, okay, I have this $2,000 card and I can just spend it. And that's not the case. You now owe that money back.
Right, because it's a borrowing tool.
It's a borrowing tool,
yeah.
Okay? So aside from that, there's your credit report, which is your financial resume. So that is going to list all of the debt accounts that you have. So all of the money that you have access to, all of the money you've taken out and what you owe, right? And then your credit score is basically a condensed financial resume. So it's going to show your financial responsibility or irresponsibility.
Right.
And there's a range between 300 and 900. I like to tell people that anywhere above 700 is pretty good.
Okay.
But there's as you can see, there's many components when it comes to debt and credit. But don't worry. I always tell people it's like riding a bike. All these different financial concepts, once you learn them, you will never forget them. So it's all about learning.
Okay. Yeah. Just to kind of float around in the credit pool for now, just because I feel like even now for me personally, as like I'm personally working on my own credit and stuff, it's still a bit of a mystery because like most places try to break down like how your credit is essentially scored. Like I know it's the number of accounts, the length of the accounts, your payments, whether they're on time or they're missed. But I find personally, and I don't know if it's like an Equifax thing or just a TransUnion thing or just the lack of correlation, like my Equifax score and my TransUnion score are very different. You know, there's accounts in one places, there's lots of accounts of another place. And when you're trying, I guess, to align that and have everything be accurate, be noted, be recorded, because like I'm personally signed up for like a credit reporting system where like I pay a monthly fee, they record it as the payments, they report it to the bureaus to help like boost your credit. Not gonna lie, it's worked. I've gained like 100 points in 6 months, which is great. But how, I guess, what would be the first step to get everything more in line, like more accurate? Because sometimes there's a lot of accuracies and like half the time the phone numbers ain't the phone numbers. I've tried calling and they're like, oh, call this number. I call another number. Oh, you need to call this number. I call a third number. Oh, call the first number. They're even though they have so much financial control over what you have access to in life, they're so elusive.
Listen to what you just said. So this is the crazy part, right? As much as like there are certain financial concepts that we need to know in order to thrive,
they're hiding.
We also have to understand that it's a system. And what do we know about systems? They're meant to keep us poor. So yes, your credit score can be different on multiple credit reporting platforms. That makes no sense. Okay? But it's true. I started off using Equifax. I was paying for it because when I was first trying to get my life together, I wanted to make sure that everything was accurate. And then when I started to get into real estate stuff with my brother, I needed to make sure that it was accurate. I no longer pay for Equifax. I use Borrowell. Borrowell is my favorite only because I find it to be the most accurate, but I like the way it breaks down my accounts. It's just, I like the format.
Okay.
Compared to Credit Karma, I find that Credit Karma takes way too long to update. It will be months behind.
Really?
Months behind.
Because I know they use TransUnion.
Months behind.
Yeah.
Like literally, like if I checked it today, it would say the last reported payment like April.
Oh wow. Yeah,
it's not accurate.
I'm laughing because I have Credit Karma on my phone.
Yeah.
I check it from time to time.
Yeah.
But I've never actually looked at like those payment dates. Like it'll show you like a simple graph of like check mark or X if you missed the payment. But I've never actually looked to see like what month it's in.
It's super behind, at least for me. I know there's people who use Credit Karma and love it, and that's cool. But I say all this to say, don't get caught up in trying to strive for the 800 score, because guess what? Your credit score is going to increase and decrease throughout your entire life because of your financial habits. 700 or more is pretty safe. And going back to your question about what makes up your credit score. So the most important thing is never missing a payment. Missing a payment is probably the worst thing you can do.
Yikes.
Other than that, the next most important thing, something that a lot of people don't know, and they have multiple credit cards, is that out of your limit, you can only spend 30%.
That, yes.
It sucks. It doesn't make sense because it's like, wow, I have a $6,000 limit credit card and I can only spend $1,800. That makes no sense.
I discovered that recently. Yeah. Please tell them why.
If you listen, you can be like, she's just whatever. No. If you spend more than 30%, that is why your credit score is trash. Literally, people will max out their credit cards, pay them, and say, why is my credit score not jumping up? Because you're using more than 30% every month. You can't do it. You just can't. It's one of those rules that you have to follow.
Yes. So if your utilization is high, it makes you a high risk because most people, for example, has a $2,500 limit card. You're not going to pay back the $2,500 in 1 month.
Right.
Unless you're perhaps one of those people who pay for everything with your credit card so that when you do get paid from your paycheck, you just throw it there and do it all over again. Yeah, like you said, it's not a good look. It makes you look risky if your card is always maxed out all the time and you're only making like $15 minimum payments. It makes whatever financial institution, I guess, think like, ooh, they're gonna default. They're gonna run away with our money. They're gonna do this, and it keeps your score low. But if you're, only using, like you said, $600 out of a $2,500 card, your utilization's low. You're low risk. Oh, they're more likely to pay that off because they don't owe the full $2,500. They only owe $600.
And on top of that, too, remember what I said a couple minutes ago. Essentially, this credit is to build your credit score. So if you actually need the money, that poses a problem, right? If you need to use debt to pay for things and you don't have another source of income to pay for things, that's also making you high risk, right? You should be able to pay for things with the income you're making. And then this credit card is used for maybe your bills, right? Because recurring bills means every month you're going to use the card, and that's going to build up your credit score. So when you actually need the money, because that happens, right? Like a lot of people don't have an emergency fund, so they get a credit card, and now it's like, I have $1,000 for emergency. Well, you use it, now you got to pay it back. That defeats the purpose.
Then you don't have a fund. You have emergency debt.
That part.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's say there's a person, I guess, who, let's say they don't have a credit card. They had one, they fucked up, whatever, and now they don't have a credit card, or they cut it up. They're like, I forget it. I rebuke them. But they want to find out, I guess, the best way, like, how do I put money aside? How do I save up for emergencies? Even if you do have a credit card, let's just keep it out of the loop for now.
Yes. What
is the best way to, I guess, build those savings without necessarily feeling the pinch of it?
So the most important thing is to know yourself. The only way to know yourself financially is to go through all of your monthly expenses. So everybody should know their monthly expenses. They should also know what money they're bringing in on a monthly basis. They should know what they're paying in terms of debt payments, insurance payments, all of those things.
Yeah.
I know it sounds scary, but if you've never done this ever, you need to do it because this is the starting point. This is going to give you a snapshot of what your finances are. And then from there, you can find a solution, right? If you don't know how much disposable income you should have at the end of every month, which is income minus all of your expenses,
Right.
you don't know where you're starting from. So if my monthly disposable income is $200, I know that with this $200, I can allocate that to whatever I need to allocate that towards.
No.
Savings.
Well, I was going to say,
yeah.
I was about to ask, does that disposable income include savings?
So,
because some,
yes.
I was going to say, because some, sorry to cut you off. Some
okay.
people, I guess, budget or plan their finances or figure out their finances and include savings as a, like, almost like a mandatory category.
Yeah.
So sorry. So you break that down, I guess, how it would work.
So I use a budgeting sheet, and in that budgeting sheet, it really just depends on the person. So some people are already saving money, so they have contributions going into their tax-free savings account, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's like $100 going into their savings, and then they have a disposable $200, well, then maybe they don't use that $200 for their savings if they're already saving. Maybe they use that for a travel fund or whatever it is. It really depends. Everyone's going to be different, which is why I say if you've never looked at all of your monthly expenses, you need to, because every solutions should be specific to your specific situation. Bit of a tongue twister, but it's really about you and your situation. You need to start where you are. And I think that's where people get messed up, right? When people talk about budgeting and people say, oh, budgeting, it's going to restrict me. Well, if it's specific to your situation, it doesn't have to restrict you.
That's fair. Okay, yeah. Well, okay, because you mentioned the spreadsheet. Mm-hmm. I've seen them everywhere. They're like everywhere. Try my financial spreadsheet. For me, I'm weird because like I like digital tools. Yeah. But like to go through, look at my statements and do this and I can't, like, I don't want to say I can't do that. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do that. Right. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of doing that. But I do personally use digital tools, like a couple tools that I use for myself. You know, there's Wealth Simple for savings and stuff. Yeah. I have that. I use Mocha.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Mocha, like they're a good tool. Like when saving without saving with Mocha, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And so that one, like, will just pull money out of my account every week, however often I want, and just allocate it to like a TSFA for, I don't know, for like buying a home, emergency funds, whatever. And it saved me a few times where I'm like, ooh, money's looking a little tight. Yeah. So I just withdraw a little $50 here or whatever and not feel any type of penalization. Yeah. A third tool that, like, personally for me and like our family, that's really helped, that I've had for years, and like again, the dots not connecting was Coho.
Yes.
I'm gonna include a link down below this video for Coho, but Coho has been such a game changer, at least in this house, because my partner and I, we both have cards. We opened a joint account. And it's a way for us to have like our separate income for, again, that disposable income, but we contribute regularly to like our joint income, and we both see how often we spend, what our bills that are coming out, and like every month we try to even categorize it like the spreadsheet to say like, oh, $200 here, that was groceries, $100 there, that was gas, $600 here, that was whatever. Yeah. And we see personally like, oh, we spent how much on groceries? Yeah. Like, girl, I saw it this month. I was like,
but notice the key is the separation, right? Yeah. So Coho is a completely different card. It's separate from your bank account.
Yes.
And that's the key. I tell people all the time, how do you expect to organize your money when your income is going into your checkings, your saving is sitting in your checkings, your travel fund is sitting in your checkings, everything is in your checkings. You just have a big old bulk of money and you don't know what's for what. That's not going to work. You need to separate your money as much as possible.
And
That's key.
And I was gonna just add to that because I used to do that where everything would just come into my checking account. I pay this, I pay that. I try to throw some into savings.
Yeah.
But it was very stressful. At least for me personally, it was stressful to make sure is there enough to balance the balance.
Yeah.
Now I don't even think about that. I get paid. I transfer my contribution into that joint account that we have.
Yeah.
And all the bills come out of there.
Yeah.
Or if we're like, oh, we're going shopping, okay, throw that on the joint account. Swipe it, don't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
Because we allocated a certain amount of money. We know how much we need to manage our bills.
Yeah.
And it's there. And again, I don't have to think about the checking. If I want to spend on Amazon today, I'm gonna do it. I don't have to think about it.
What I do, my checking. So I have 2 bank accounts. I have TD. I have Tangerine. My TD is essentially for spending. Everything in my Tangerine is savings.
Nice.
So in my checkings, I have multiple sources of income. So income is going there. My savings, I have 4 different savings accounts. 3 of them are regular, and one of them is a TFSA. My emergency fund is in the TFSA, and then the other 3 are taxes, Caravana, and travel.
I love this.
Okay?
I love this.
I'm making them, and that's what it is. So if I need to, Caravana, I just bought my costume. Cool. So maybe we're getting a hotel. Cool. Well, the money that's in my Caravana,
fun. That's all you have.
Going to there. You guys have to organize your money as much as possible. And I know, at the beginning, it sucks because you have to track, you have to be more strict. Now I'm at the point where I don't check my bank statements every single month. I don't have to. I don't have to track everything. I don't have to be so strict because it's second nature now. So yes, at the beginning it's not fun and it might be scary to look at your numbers and stuff, but it's okay, so if you don't do it, who's gonna do it?
True.
If you don't do it now, you're gonna spend another 6 months or a year or 2 years just willy-nilly. You're going to be in the same position you were last year. So it's going to be uncomfortable, but that's why I'm here, right? I offer free analysis appointments. So if you really need help organizing your money and looking at your numbers, I'm here. I'll sprinkle in some jokes to make you feel better. It's an uncomfortable hour for an uncomfortable hour to be more comfortable in the next 6 months to a year.
Yeah,
right?
For your future. It's true. And I feel because there's a lot of taboo and there's a lot of hush-hush, especially with Black people. People don't want to talk about their money, but they want to flex.
Yes.
You're going to see this purse, but you're not going to know that I went into debt at the payday loans to buy it.
Yeah.
And I feel there should be less, I don't want to say, because I don't know if it's a comparison thing or whatever, but there should be less of a taboo when it comes to talking about finances because, I don't know, at least for me personally, it's not a race. I'm not trying to race you. I'm not trying to race whoever. I'm just trying to live my best life with my family and to be able to afford myself and my lifestyle comfortably. I'm not looking at Instagram, seeing what other people are doing, seeing whatever. I'm just trying to do what I need to do for me. And therefore, I've tried to normalize a lot of financial conversations with friends and family just because I don't know that I guess my question to you is because you mentioned that sometimes your friends talk about money and whatever outside of what you do for work. I guess what is the easiest way to bring up the topic of money or the conversation around money without people thinking so what's in your bank account?
Oh, you're being nosy?
Without being too fast.
See, the first thing, it's so funny because, in general, our community, we don't like to talk about money, but we'll talk about everybody's business, and that doesn't make any sense because that doesn't elevate us at all. But talking about money, it doesn't have to be talking about your personal money woes, but the topic of money, how do we feel about these gas prices, or what do you do to save, or are you having a hard time saving? Of course, there has to be some sort of trust within the friend group or the family because that makes the conversation easier. But I guess one of the easiest ways is if you saw an article about something, you could bring that up as conversation. And nowadays, as I was mentioning earlier, I feel more people are talking about it because it's everywhere. What if it's not the gas prices, it's the condo prices. If it's not the condo prices, it's the cost of food. So it's more natural to have those conversations because we're already thinking it. We just gotta say it, right? Yeah. And then of course, I feel like every single person knows somebody who's in the finance field. It doesn't have to be an advisor, it could be a realtor. All of those financial careers or financial related careers, finance related careers, have to do with money. So you probably know somebody. Yeah. It's up to you to get to the maturity because you were saying how you're cool with talking about it. That's, and you were also saying you don't compare yourself to people. But that's a level of maturity that you have to get to where you're like, true. I am focused on my lane and myself. And again, going back to knowing yourself and acting your wage. Don't drag me. It's not meant to be disrespectful. You need to act in a way that makes sense for your financial capacity because when you rack up your credit card, your friends are not helping you. I promise you.
I was going to say, OLG said it best. Know your limit, play within it. Yeah. No, seriously.
No, that's literally a bar. Like, know your limit, play within it. Yeah. Seriously. Like, the other day, my friends wanted to go out to eat, whatever. They chose a restaurant. I looked at the menu, and I was like, this is a lot of money for food that, like, I'm not really trying to eat this kind of food. So I was like, yo, can we go somewhere else? And everyone was like, yeah, you know what, it's cheap or whatever. Like, don't be afraid to bring up, like, hey, you know what? I'm only trying to spend $50 tonight.
Boundaries.
Can we do something? Like,
financial boundaries.
You have to know your own financial boundaries because there are people, family, friends, partners that are going to try to push your
shame
financial
you into
boundaries.
Debt, girl. Shame you into debt.
It's not worth it at all. Like, my birthday's coming up, and one thing I'm really focused on is being financially responsible around this time because don't you notice that, like, a lot of the times for your birthday, you end up spending a lot more money than other people. And that shouldn't be. Yep. Not to say that people need to pay for you, but you need to choose things that make sense for your financial capacity. Because at the end of the day, your birthday is the day and then it goes on. Like, life goes on, you know?
The next day, life goes on. You're $500 in debt and you're like, why? This is not the present I wanted. Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. Like, I had a conversation with one of my girlfriends and I was just talking random hypotheticals. And I'm like, oh, girl, when I get married, get ready to be a bridesmaid. And she's like, no, don't ask me. And I was like, ah! Like, what do you mean don't ask you? And she's like, the average budget for that kind of stuff is too expensive. I can't financially take it on. Yeah. And just having her say that was like, look, you are worth more than you going into debt. Yeah. And therefore, if there needs to be help with certain things, or I have to put certain limits on myself for what I want in order for you to be there. Like, I'm meeting my people in the middle. Yeah. Like, I will never force any friend, family, whomever to go into debt. Like, when you can see like group trips. Yeah. Group trips to Montreal, to here, to there, to wherever.
That's cute. It's very cute.
It's cute and it's great. But here's the thing. My whole, like, group trips, 12 months in advance. And everybody has to be saving up leading up to it. Because, like, even now for travel, there's so many financial platforms that are like, pay $1,500 for your all-inclusive or 24 months AP 0% APR of payments of $68 a month. And it's like, why are you going into debt to travel?
Don't do it. Those payment plans, honestly, my whole thing is, look, if you don't have the money for it and you're not able to get it in a way where it's like someone just gives you the money, like, as an investment, like, hey, I want to do this course, but I don't have the money right now. Okay, I'll pay for it for you. Like, don't do it because it's just prolonging you paying that off. And people do it for the smallest things. People do it for clothes. Yep. $40 pair of shoes. Oh, pay $10 a month. Listen, if you don't got $40 for a shoe, like, we have bigger fish to fry, okay? So
you want a house, but you can't spend $40 for shoes. Yeah.
Every, like, e-commerce platform is offering that now.
Yes,
And
Afterpay, Klarna,
it's
all of those.
smart as hell, but it's not the kind of debt you want to rack up, because that directly exposes your spending problems, right? Your financial irresponsibility. Not everyday clothes. Honestly, I would like to say everybody listening to this podcast has enough clothes already. Like, we have enough clothes, we have enough shoes. I'm not saying you can't treat yourself, but sometimes these things, we need to prioritize other things, like, really and truly.
Well, okay, what would you suggest is like the top 3 things then that people can maybe scale back and or remove from like their day-to-day, I want to call it everyday spending, to be able to put away, I don't know, let's say $100 a month?
How much time we got?
I mean, girl,
there's
listen,
a list.
I was gonna say you could give us top 3, you could give us the top 5.
Okay, so so these are the 3 things that I cut back on. I did this for a 6-month period, and in 5 months I saved $10,000. So that's just telling you what it is. So again, I believe in balance. So I want to say that I believe in balance. So I'm not saying you have to like cut these out cold turkey, but just to give you an idea of how much money you can save if you just cut back on these things. So
my girl said $10K in 5 months. I'm shook. Okay.
Uber, time management. Please, I'm guilty. I took an Uber here today. I'm not better than anybody, okay? But time management. If you know you need to be somewhere, you loafed, and now you took an Uber. Uber is way more expensive than it was before the pandemic.
Accurate.
So much more expensive. So you have to be mindful of that. Food delivery. You are paying people to do what you don't want to do, which is cook. DoorDash,
Uber Eats, right? Yeah, skip the dishes.
Online shopping.
Yep, I'm guilty of that.
Shipping fees. Listen, if I have to pay for shipping, I'm not getting it. That's just my vibe now, because I'm like, nah, like I'm not doing it.
But here's where they trap you with that, though. They'll say like, oh, well, you can have free shipping, but you have to spend more money. Right. Like spend a certain amount, and you'll get free shipping. I'm not gonna lie, my store has that model built in. If you spend like, I think for mine though, I try to make it accessible. Like if you spend at least $60, free standard shipping, no worries. You get your stuff in like, a week or so. If you spend over $100, it gets upgraded to express shipping, at least automatically. Because it's like, if you won't be spending this money, you should at least get it quicker as possible. Like, But you're absolutely
so that's where the mindful spending needs to be, because chances are you're going to buy things that you really don't need just to get the free shipping, and so it's kind of counterproductive. Like, you need to have a budget before even going into this, right? And again, it takes time. Like, it's going to become second nature for you to be like, no, if it's not free shipping, I'm not doing it. But again, most of the time we're shopping for things that we don't need, and so now it says free shipping if you spend over $100. So now we're just buying random stuff. And how many people have things in their closet that they haven't worn yet?
I was gonna say, I'm like, I still have. There are tags still on a bunch of my clothes. The way I justify it though, I'm like, the pandemic started, I didn't know, so I didn't go nowhere, and I have all these clothes. But at the same time, I can't even show you my closet, because my closet is literally overflowing. Because like I moved from a bigger closet to a slightly smaller closet, and that slight is my plight right now. And I don't have the heart to give away / sell / whatever any of my clothes. Not yet, anyways.
So those are just 3, okay? So Uber, food delivery apps, and online shopping. And then I'm gonna give you a couple more that you might not think about, but the money will add up. So anyone who knows me knows I always walk with a water bottle from home, because I like to stay hydrated. But also, can you imagine buying a water bottle twice a day, every day of the month?
That's true.
Right?
Water's like what, $3, $4?
Another thing would be parking tickets. So we all like to live dangerously and park where we're not supposed to, and then we got an $80 ticket. Like, come on, you're doing that to yourself. And again, that is debt, right?
True.
So
Okay.
there's that. And then one more thing. Something else that is an everyday expense that we spend our money on.
I would say coffee.
I think I already have I have a bit of beef with the coffee lovers already because I'm always using that as an example on my Instagram. But it's true. Like, again, there's a way to cut costs in that case. You can buy your own machine, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the main thing is it's not just about buying the one coffee or the 2 coffees a day. It's doing that every single day, every single month for 60 years.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I break down the cost of things. I'll be like, okay, you buy Uber, you order from Uber Eats 4 times a week. Cool. So times that by 4 weeks, times that by 12 months, and times that by 50 years.
Yeah. That adds
That
up real
amount
quick.
of money, would you have loved to see that in your account instead of in coffee?
In your
Probably.
belly. In your belly, which is in the toilet now. Yeah.
Probably, right? So just to put things in perspective, and again, we can give ourselves budgets for these things. I call them fun funds, right? Balling on a budget. Like, give yourself a budget to treat yourself, but have a limit, right?
Yeah.
Like, I remember one of my past clients would pay for her whole office's coffee every single week. She told me she was spending $60 a week.
What?
And I was like, okay, so do you like switch turns or something? And she was like, no. And I'm like, you're really nice. I guess I'm not nice because I would never do that. I don't know.
Here's the thing. I would rotate that if the rotation was there, and or I would do it if I was being reimbursed by the company. If the company's like, go out and do this and we'll pay you back what you're spending, sure, coffee's on me every week. I don't mind.
Yeah.
But not on my dime. Absolutely
not. So let's do this real quick because I want y'all to feel the realness of this. $60 times 4 weeks.
Yes.
$240
a month. That's just a month.
$240 times 12 months is $2,880. Let's say you work at
that's
the company.
A vacation.
That's like 2 vacations if you're doing all inclusive.
Right.
Times 5 years. Let's say you're at the company for 5 years. That's $14,400.
That's a car.
That's a lot of money.
That's a car.
I tell people all the time, like, it's not that we don't have the money, but we either ate it all, drank it all, partied it all.
True.
In any way, we spent it all, right? Mm-hmm. So the potential is there. I tell people all the time, I've been working for 10 years, just shy of 10 years. And 2 years ago, I had $200 to my name. Where did all the money I made, where did it go? Clothes, shoes, food, BS, really and truly. Mm-hmm. And as much as, now I know what to do with my money, and it's still, you still sometimes think about it. You're like, damn, if I only knew this back then, I would be further.
Yeah.
So it's good to self-reflect. Don't stay there, but it's good to self-reflect and know the potential of, if you made all that money before, there's no reason why you can't make it now, and now you'll be smarter.
Yeah.
So you can manage it better, right?
Fair enough. And I guess, like, I would say that I would marry that, like, in tandem with, again, kind of going back to the digital tools, like the Mocha one, where they have this thing where it's like you round up your change. So it tracks essentially your spending on your bank account. And if you spent $250, it'll take the other $250 out and put it away for you. Yeah. And Coho can do that too with your spending. Like, if you spend, again, $275, it'll take it rounds up to the next dollar. You can choose next $1, $2, $5, and it'll take that difference, put it away for you. And it's nice to see, like, just money show up out of nowhere. It feels like free money, which is nice. Yes. But with Mocha, for people who struggle to say, like, oh, well, it's hard for me to find $10 to put away every month or this or whatever, you can start with $1. Like, literally $1, saying, I want to take out $1 a day. And I think they do it every week because like you can't always do daily deposits, but set it to $7, which is $1 a day, just to put it away, and you literally will have $31 every month. And like that adds up itself. That becomes, $360 times how many years of just and that's passive saving. Yeah. Now, okay. I was mentioning to you before, like Black people are normally like, we're the hustlers. We're the ones that will have 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9 jobs with no time on our back, always working, grind never sleeps kind of vibe. What would you personally suggest is the best, or not? Oh, I guess a few of the best ways to create passive income, because I feel like that's where the rich people are laughing, because like we have 24 hours, the same 24 hours in the day as Beyonce, but Beyonce's not doing 8 jobs.
Wow, that's a really great analogy. Is that an analogy?
Comparison.
That's gold right there.
Yeah, like the reason why Beyonce's 24 hours and our 24 hours hit different is because, you know, we're doing 2, 3 jobs. She's doing one.
Yeah.
And she's managed to diversify so that her I don't want to say minimal effort, but the effort she does go in goes a lot further.
Yeah.
Like, so what would you suggest, I guess, for people to start their mini mogul vibes, their mini empire, I guess start their way?
Yeah. So I would say I'm going to suggest something that's probably the easiest thing to do. And this is like outside of the side hustle stuff, because typically with side hustles, you actually have to physically work to make money. So one thing is, I'm sure you've all seen this already, digital products. So whether it's ebooks or even like I was talking about a spreadsheet or a how-to guide or a journal, whatever digital product you want to create. And if you have a link to it on your site, people can literally purchase it while you're sleeping. So that's one way to put in the labor and effort, however many hours you want to spend on it. But then once that's done, people can literally keep buying that as many times as they can. And then if you want to put up like updates every 6 months or a year, that's one way that you can continuously make money. I would say that's like the easiest thing to do. Other than that, if we're talking investing in stocks that offer dividend payments, where you will be receiving, you know, whether it's quarterly or sometimes even monthly,
they'll give you a small portion of the profits.
Small portion of how many stocks you bought. So that's again another way to receive a bit of money, and you can either reinvest that or you can use that for whatever you wish. So those are 2.
Okay. So because, you know, we want us to be part of the soft life. We don't need to be hard life. We're soft life people now, you know.
Or if you're gonna work all those jobs, like aim to be in a better position than you were before you took on those jobs. Because a lot of the times we take on all these jobs, we're working night shift, weekends, and we don't save money. Like, I understand some people take on jobs specifically to pay for whatever lifestyle. Like, for example, if I take on a side job, maybe that money that I earn is going to go to something specific. So, but you have to have that in your mind. Like, this weekend job is going to give me my fun budget. And then organize your money in a way that works for that. Don't just take on all these jobs and be making more money, but not saving more money.
True. And then I guess my final question is, for people who want to save their money, like put their money in a savings account, invest or whatever, like what kind of account would you think is, I guess, the best opportunity to do that? Like in terms of TSFA, GIC, things like that.
So I would say, and this is for savings or investing.
Well, both. It could be for both.
Okay, so if you're trying to put your money aside, you definitely want it to grow a little bit. The average savings account from the top 5 banks are earning 0.01%. For those who know, inflation is, if it's still around 6%, that means the math is not mathing. So inflation is 6% and your money's growing at 0.01%. You're basically in the negative. So there's plenty of savings accounts that earn more than 0.01%. A lot of them are offered by digital banks. So digital banks do not charge bank fees. Banks like Tangerine, Simply, Notice, they're only online, and they do different promos. So currently one of my savings accounts, actually all of my savings accounts plus my tax-free savings account, they're all earning 2.8% right now. So
that's a lot.
You want to put your money aside, but you want to put it in something where it's going to grow a little bit. do. I lost my train of thought.
And then I guess investment, because that's more like for savings.
Yes. So I use Wealthsimple. It's the most, I would say, user-friendly account.
Mm-hmm.
Wealthsimple has multiple apps, though. They have the Cash app.
Yes.
So it's similar to
Cash
Coho.
app. Or
yeah, like
really okay.
Yeah. So their Cash app. They have a savings account that earns 0.75, so not great. But they also have a cash card, which is a prepaid spending card similar to Coho.
Okay.
Their benefits aren't that great anymore. When they first came out, it was like if you sign up, you get $10, and if you send your referral link to people, you both get $10. Now it's $1 each. So I would suggest Coho because you both get $20. It's a lot better.
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna say you both get $20. You just have to use the card. It's not like you have to put on like a whole heap of money.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Wealthsimple has a card now. That's very interesting because I was gonna say the thing that I like personally the most about Coho is they have a cashback and a roundup. So when you spend your money, they round up your money and they save it for you. So you're saving without even trying.
Yeah.
But there's also a cashback feature, and they give you cashback of 0.5%. So like it doesn't feel like a lot, but when you are making like those budget buys, like for example, like groceries and all of those kind of like 100 plus, 200 plus, cashback adds up. It's like, a couple dollars here or there. Next thing you know, like I was a personal testimony, I guess. I was using the card for 2 months for like our joints kind of card without even thinking about it, trying. Over the past 2 months between roundups and cashback, we probably have over $70. And that's
impressive.
Look, I don't want to say it's free money, but half of it's at least free money. Like when I first had Coho, I was able to get over $150 in cashback. And that was just free money. Of just me using the card. So if you want to have, like, for example, you still want to keep your bank account. I'm not telling you to delete their bank account, but like you want to have your funds. Make your funds work for you. Put your $100, $200 for the month. When you swipe, you don't feel bad because A, you're saving some of it back because they'll put it away for you, and B, you'll get cash back. And guess what? You can use that to add to your funds one day. You're like, oh, I saved up an extra $20. Let me spoil myself this month and throw it on to what I have for the month. So
there's so many tools that you can use to make saving easier, because essentially what we want these things to be easy to do, right? Even when it comes to credit cards, one of my credit cards has cashback on 3 categories. So I put it for groceries, reoccurring bills, and then I think like hotel stays. And then what they do is they take the cash back and they put it into my savings. So I think last month it was like $13. $13 doesn't seem like a lot, but you're $13 richer. I'm feeling that.
But I was gonna say $13 times 12 months. It's $156 free dollars. That you that on things you were gonna spend money for anyways. Right?
Take advantage of all of those cashback things, but also be mindful that you're reading the fine print, because some of those offers, outside of the credit cards, some of those like cash cards are actually credit cards. So you just want to make sure that you are reading the fine print before you sign up for anything, so you know exactly what they are.
Fair enough. Okay. But with that being said, hopefully Shay dropped enough gems to get you guys started. And if you need more information, please let them know how they can connect with you, reach out to you. Slide in your DMs.
My Instagram is Finance for the Culture. I post a lot of funny reels. I like to teach financial literacy in a entertaining way so that it grabs your attention. So check out my reels. I'm always posting free gems on there, so make sure you tap in. And there's a lot of stuff coming up this summer, whether it's events, workshops, all that fun stuff. So make sure you tap in. And thank you so much for having me.
Of course, it's my pleasure. Again, connect with Shay, aka Finance for the Culture, on her social media. Follow, learn, invest, grow, build that, financial literacy,
Yes.
that financial independence.
Mhm.
But with that being said, it is your girl Lola, and you've been listening to This Black Girl Podcast. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Take care.
Bye.